Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Today we are going to discuss about mucopolysaccharides, or otherwise called as glycosaminoglycans. They are major component of extracellular matrix and they play important role in wound repair. So these are unbranched heteropolysaccharide units composed of disaccharide repeat units, that is amino sugar and uronic acid. So here you can see the structure of hyaluronic acid, which is a glycosaminoglycan consisting of a uronic acid, that is D-glucuronic acid, and an amino sugar, that is N-acetyl glucosamine.
Ma'am, how is a uronic acid formed?
Monosaccharides are converted to uronic acid by mild oxidation. The last carbon atom is oxidized to form the uronic acid. Like glucose is oxidized to form glucuronic acid, then mannose to mannuronic acid, galactose to galacturonic acid. So these occur under mild oxidation conditions. So these mucopolysaccharides are repeat subunits of amino sugar, but the second hydroxyl group is replaced by amino group, that is amino sugar, and a uronic acid, but the last carbon atom is oxidized to form uronic acid. Okay, so they are the disaccharide repeat subunits of amino sugar and uronic acid.
Ma'am, why are these also called mucopolysaccharides?
These glycosaminoglycans were first isolated from mucin, hence they are also called mucopolysaccharides. Now we will see the properties of glycosaminoglycans. Now as you can see in this picture, the slippery consistency of mucus is because these glycosaminoglycans, they carry a large number of negative charges. They carry a lot of carboxyl group, acetyl and sulfate groups, and these chains tend to repel each other. And that is the reason for the slippery consistency of mucus secretion, which are rich in glycosaminoglycans. Another important property is that when water is squeezed out, they occupy small volume, and when the compression is released, they spring back to the original hydrated volume because of repulsion of negative charges. And that is the reason for the resilient nature of synovial fluid and vitreous humor, which are rich in mucopolysaccharides. And they have a special ability to bind to large amounts of water, so that forms a major component of extracellular matrix. Now we can discuss some important glycosaminoglycans. Hyaluronic acid is an important glycosaminoglycan which is present in skin, synovial fluid, vitreous humor, then connective tissues and all. They have repeat subunits of N-acetyl glucosamine and glucuronic acid. And hyaluronic acid play an important role in permitting cell migration during morphogenesis and wound repair. They are present in bacteria and extracellular matrix of nearly all animals, and it is the only glycosaminoglycan which is not sulfated.
So hyaluronic acid helps you to stay young, right, ma'am?
Yes, exactly. A hyaluronic acid filler is carefully injected under the skin to correct the lines and wrinkles. It's widely used as a beauty product. A test used to detect hyaluronate in the synovial fluid is the mucin clot test or the rope test. It reflects the polymerization of synovial fluid hyaluronate. So normal synovial fluid, as you can see in the second picture, it forms tight ropey clot on addition of acetic acid. But poor clot formation is seen in septic or gouty arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. So next glycosaminoglycan which we are going to discuss is chondroitin sulfate, and this is the most abundant glycosaminoglycan. Okay, so they are seen in cartilage, bone, CNS and composed of N-acetyl galactosamine and glucuronic acid. So it's a major compound of cartilage and located at sites of calcification in endochondral bone. So Nikki, can you tell me the repeat units of hyaluronic acid?
Ma'am, hyaluronic acid is composed of N-acetyl glucosamine and glucuronic acid, and it is only glycosaminoglycan which is not sulfated.
Very good, Nikki. Excellent. Now, Lepi, can you tell me the repeat units of chondroitin sulfate?
Chondroitin sulfate is made up of N-acetyl-galactosamine and glucuronic acid.
Very good, girls. So next we are going to discuss about a glycosaminoglycan without uronic acid. And that is keratin sulfate, which is originally isolated from cornea. And it is only glycosaminoglycan without uronic acid. And the transparency of corneal endothelium is maintained by keratin sulfate. It's composed of N-acetylglucosamine and galactose, seen in cornea, cartilage, then loose connective tissue. So next glycosaminoglycan of biological significance is heparin. So have you heard of heparin before?
Yes, ma'am. Heparin is an anticoagulant.
Yes, exactly. Heparin is an anticoagulant and it's seen in mast cells, liver, lung and skin. It's composed of glucosamine and hyaluronic acid. So it can be either of the two uronic acid, but vast majority of the uronic acid residues are hyaluronic acid. Also, heparin specifically binds to lipoprotein lipase present in capillary walls, causing release of this enzyme into circulation. It activates this lipoprotein lipase. So it's found in the granules of mast cells, also liver, lung and skin. Heparin sulfate is another important glycosaminoglycan. It's composed of glucosamine and glucuronic acid, which is seen in skin and kidney basement membrane. So this have a role in cell-to-cell adhesion. Okay, so it is present in the kidney basement membrane along with the type 4 collagen and laminin. And it plays a role in charge electiveness of glomerular filtration. So that is the significance. It plays a role in charge electiveness of glomerular filtration. So derpatase sulfate is another important glycosaminoglycan which is widely distributed. It is a main glycosaminoglycan of skin and it's composed of N-acetylgalactosamine and uronic acid or glucuronic acid is same. Okay, so it's widely distributed. Okay, so which are the glycosaminoglycans we have discussed so far?
Ma'am, hyaluronic acid, then chondroitin sulfate, keratin sulfate, heparin, heparin sulfate and dermatan sulfate.
Yes, very good. Okay, so what are the constituents of keratin sulfate?
Ma'am, keratin sulfate is made up of N-acetylglucosamine and galactose. So it is the only glycosaminoglycan without uronic acid.
Excellent. Which is a widely distributed glycosaminoglycan?
Ma'am, it's dermatan sulfate. Ma'am, can you share any tips to memorize all these structures?
Yes, sure, Lippy. First, learn the general rule that glycosaminoglycans contain N-acetylglucosamine and D-glucuronic acid. Now, learn the exceptions. So, first exception, instead of N-acetylglucosamine, chondroitin sulfate has N-acetylgalactosamine. So, thus chondroitin sulfate has N-acetylgalactosamine and D-glucuronic acid. Similarly, dermatan sulfate also has N-acetylgalactosamine instead of glucosamine. And the uronic acid can be hyaluronic acid or glucuronic acid. Also, heparin is non-acylated and contains glucosamine. Okay, so heparin consists of glucosamine and mostly hyaluronic acid. Now learn the second exception. Instead of D-glucuronic acid, it can be L-hyaluronic acid in heparin. Thus, heparin has glucosamine and hyaluronic acid. Also, instead of glucuronic acid, it's galactose in keratin sulfate. And it is only glycosaminoglycan with no uronic acid. So, keratin sulfate has N-acetylglucosamine and galactose. Is that clear? Can you repeat?
Yes, ma'am, it's very clear. So first we have to learn the general rule that glycosaminoglycans consist of N-acetylglucosamine and glucuronic acid. Now we have to learn the exceptions. So first exception is that instead of N-acetylglucosamine, it's N-acetylgalactosamine in chondroitin sulfate. Similarly, dermatan sulfate also has N-acetylgalactosamine.
Also, heparin is non-acylated. So, instead of N-acetylglucosamine, it is just glucosamine in heparin.
Now second exception, Instead of glucuronic acid, it is hyaluronic acid in heparin and also in dermatan sulfate. In dermatan sulfate, it can be hyaluronic acid or glucuronic acid. Also in keratin sulfate, there is no uronic acid, and instead of glucuronic acid, it is galactose in keratin sulfate.
Excellent, girls. Very good. Now, can you tell me the glycosaminoglycan which is responsible for charge electiveness of glomerular filtration?
Yes, ma'am, it's heparin sulfate, which has a role in cell-to-cell adhesion. And it's found in kidney basement membrane along with typhocollagen. So it plays a role in charge electiveness of glomerular filtration.
Very good, Nikki. So another important question, which is a glycosaminoglycan which is responsible for transparency of corneal endothelium?
Ma'am, it's keratin sulfate.
Yes, exactly. Now can you tell me the glycosaminoglycan present in synovial fluid?
Ma'am, it's hyaluronic acid.
Yes, exactly. Very good. I hope you are thorough with this topic. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, ma'am.